Hi guys, I'm Joshua Orro. Welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now today is really gonna go downhill. For the film I'm gonna be blogging today, may have gotten a lot of positive responses, but the film really hurts me and my friends at the theater I act at. Big time. But before I get into all that, let's discuss one of the most interesting, yet catchy dance movies of the 1980s, Footloose. Now, for those of you who don't know, Footloose is a 1984 American musical drama film which was directed by Herbert Ross. It tells the story of a boy named Ren McCormick, played by Kevin Bacon, who's an upbeat Chicago teen who moves to a small town in which, as a result of the efforts of the local minister, played by John Lithgow, dancing and rock and roll have been banned. The film is also said to be loosely based on events that took place in a small rural, I don't really know how to pronounce, and religious community of Elmore City of Oklahoma. Then a decade later, Footloose became its own Broadway musical and opened up at Broadway's Richard Rogers Theater on October 22, 1998, with music by Tom Snow and lyrics by Dean Pitchfork with additional lyrics by Kenny Loggins. Now, while performing with Musical Theater Village, my sister and I became fans of Footloose in early spring 2008. Then later, in the autumn of the same year, our friends told us that a new Footloose movie was in development and would be in theaters soon. Since then, I've gotten so excited that each month I've been looking up the IMDb website for some info on the new Footloose film. However, in 2009, while I was waiting for Footloose, before I graduated from high school, me and my sister performed in Footloose at Musical Theater Village as side characters. Now, to be honest, I have to admit that I suck at dancing. And nowadays, I still kind of do. But on the bright side, it is still a fun experience to be able to sing and dance those songs from the 80s during that show. Then, finally, in the fall of 2011, my family and I went to our local cinema to see the Footloose movie that I've been waiting to see. However, it wasn't really how I thought it would turn out. Now, considering that not only is this year the 30th anniversary of Footloose, so I've been told, but also I'm currently acting in Footloose once again at Musical Theater Village, but as different characters. So, let's just get this over with already. Released on October 14th, 2011, the movie is Footloose. Here we go. Ren McCormick moves from big city Boston to a small southern town where life is very different. He lives with his aunt and uncle after his divorced mom's painful death from leukemia. An accident in which 5 teenagers were killed after a night out shocked the small town's community. The local councilman and Reverend Moore reacted to the incident by banning loud music and dancing. Ren stands up to the outmoded band and, in the process, falls in love with the Reverend's daughter, Ariel Moore. So, what did I think of this travesty of a live-action musical? Well, it really disappointed me big time. Because of a lot of things. Like it was not being a musical at all. Plus, its modern-day setting makes no sense. I mean, in the 80s, it made more sense for rock and roll and dance to be outlawed, since there were still people back then who were still uncomfortable around it. But 2011? Come on! That makes no sense! But there are also more to it, which I'll talk about later. So, let's just move on to Mustang notes before I get even worse. So, unlike the original film set in the fictional town of Beaumont, Utah, this remake is set in fictional Beaumont, Georgia. Stupid. Lame. On a budget of $24 million. Principal photography began on September 2010 in and around Metro Atlanta, and wrapped up 2 months later in November. A courtroom scene was shot in Newton County Historic Courthouse in Covington, Georgia on September 17th, 20th, and 21st. A family scene was filmed in the New Sonoa Raceway in Sonoa on October 1st. And also a scene taken from the original film, which McCormick plays a game of chicken with his love interest boyfriend Chuck, was filmed in Chattahoochee River Bridge on Franklin Parkway in downtown Franklin, also in October. The home and church scene in the film was filmed in downtown Acworth production. Please don't judge me if I mispronounce something wrong. Which was used in the sanctuary of Atwood Presbyterian Church and the house of the mayor, Tommy Aylgood. Now, I have a few stage comparisons to say about this, which are not featured in any of the things I've just already discussed. First off, the son of the Reverend, Bobby Moore, and 4 of his friends drive over a bridge in this film, and they were not paying attention and crash into a truck, killing him instantly. Yeah, I can't make up for that scene, which, since they didn't ever show the accident in the original film, or show that on stage, but even though on stage, Rusty and the girls say that they crashed the car through a guardrail instead of a truck. And the bridge was called the Potawatomi Bridge. Second note I have to say is, Ren goes before the city council, true, and reads several Bible verses, which was given to him by Ariel, that describe how in ancient times people would dance to rejoice, exercise, celebrate, and or worship, hoping to lift the dancing band. However, from my experience from it on stage, even though it was on stage it was done in rap, when they sang "Dancing is not a crime." Can't believe that song is actually absent in this one. And thirdly, Ren convinces the owner of the cotton mill where he works at to let them have the prom there. The mill is outside of Beaumont city limits for some weird reason. That's just dumb, stupidly. Because even though Ren did work at the mill in the original film, on stage, Ren first worked at a hardware store, then after being fired for no given reason, worked at Burger Blast. Plus, in the ending of the original film and the stage version, the law was abolished officially, and they were free to dance at the school, not the mill. Now to discuss about songs, as if it'll improve my opinion. Now, I'm glad they did keep songs such as the title song Footloose, along with Holding Out for a Hero, and Let's Hear for the Boy, and Almost Paradise. But however, I'm glad that they kept those. And it's also interesting how they managed to change Holding Out for a Hero from a rock and roll girl song to a slow guitar song. But a lot of the other songs from the original show and film have been taken out. And what's even worse is that, which should have been done, nobody in this cast sings these songs. Plus, most of the songs they play in the background aren't that good to me. Except one, which I found really catchy to enjoy, called Fake ID, and which, thank God, this year, my friends at Musical Theater Village are having that song in their show. Now I talk about the actors and their characters. Let's start with the main character and the trouble that went on with him, not just in the movie, but also during post-production as well. In July 2007, Zac Efron was cast as Ren McCormick, but unfortunately he left the project in March 2009 for probably he was wanted to be a big boy and wanted to do something more his age. Then 2 months later, it was reported that Chase Crawford would replace Efron, but he then later had to back out due to scheduling conflicts. Thomas Dekker was also a top candidate for the role, but then on June 22nd, 2010, Entertainment Weekly reported that Kenny Wormwood was scheduled to be the lead role of Ren McCormick. As for what I thought of Ren, well, Kenny was alright as Ren, but still not the same as he was in the old versions, because he actually came from Chicago and not Beaumont. Plus, his mother Ethel is dead in this film, but he still got that same big city kid attitude he did have, though. Ariel Moore is played by Dancing with the Stars actress Julianne Hough, who you also may know in Rock of Ages as Sherry. I mean, she had the right attitude for being a rebellious Reverend's daughter personality. However, it would have been nice if we actually heard Julianne sing, since she did sing in Rock of Ages, but that was a little bit after this film, though. Next up is Reverend Shaw Moore, played by Dennis Quaid, who I know in films like The Parent Trap remake, The Day After Tomorrow, and probably a few others. I mean, in my opinion, Dennis Quaid was a great choice to be Reverend Shaw. I mean, the sermons that he did as Shaw were really great. And normally, I'm like the kind of person who doesn't tolerate strict parents who are overprotective for their kids. But this role is really a good exception. Ariel's mom and Shaw's wife, Vi Moore, is played by Andie MacDowell. In this film, Vi is still the same welcoming mother and housewife that she always is in the last two versions, so there's nothing really to complain about her here. Next to talk about is Willard Hewitt, played by Miles Teller. For those of you guys who may have seen the originals, I should let you know that in this, Willard is not always in cowboy clothes, but his personality is still the same as he was back in the 80s and on stage, and he's still the same, well, wild and crazy side character that we all know. The next character I want to talk about is my favorite character in the whole film, Woody, who is actually played by Cerdarius Blaine. However, he's not a character from neither the original movie nor the stage musical, but I do give him credit for being a great supporting character to Ren in this film. Now, the last supporting character in this film is Ariel's best friend, Rusty, played by Zaya Collin. She also happens to be Willard's girlfriend, like in the last two versions of the musical. And also, you guys know, my sister was obsessed with Rusty when my sister played Wendy Jo in the stage musical. So far, she's a great character. Next to talk about is Chuck Cranston, played by Patrick John Fluger. In this film, he's still a rebellious, tough guy. However, instead of being a biker, he's a rough race car driver instead. And, well, You don't want to mess with him, otherwise he'll look for any excuse to kick your butt. And lastly, Uncle Wes and Aunt Lulu Warnaker are played by Ray McKinnon and Kim Dickens. Their personality is a bit different compared to how they used to be. Both on stage and in the original film, they were like abusive and suspicious around their own nephew. However, in this, they're just turned into a loving and supportive aunt and uncle in this film and look for any ways to help Ren get out of any sticky situation. However, I do like this change in a little bit, but it still does distract from the overall tone that the stage version and the 80s film had. Now to move on to my final words. Above all, this version of Footloose is an insult to both the 1984 film and its stage predecessors. The story set in modern day is wrong. Most of the new songs, minus one, are bad. Some of the characters I liked from the original are absent, and sometimes a lot of the characters don't act like they originally did. And also, the movie doesn't even let any of the cast sing any of the original songs, so even though the acting is good for that time, and some of the songs are okay, but it would have been better if they just let the cast sing. So, shame on you, Paramount! Shame on you! However, if any of you guys are interested in the original 1984 film, then by all means, go right ahead and buy it from your local DVD store or online, or even you can rent it on Netflix if you want. You can even buy the entire album on iTunes. Plus, if you want to see Footloose on stage, then now's the perfect time to do so. So go to this website below to order tickets to see which days is good for you. But whatever you do not watch this film before watching the original 84 film or its stage musical. I give this piece of modern day crap 55% out of 100. I just hope that one day Hollywood decides to make a proper version of Footloose with it being entirely musical themed set in the 80s. But then after seeing this piece of garbage, it'll just take a long time before this happens. So, I think I should do this to this DVD. Good riddance to it. Well, I promise you guys that next time I'll have better films to blog in the future. Till then, Mustang power.